Well, hello there. I'm Jim Harrington. This is It's Another Day.
It is another day, and I'll tell you what, it's, it's been an interesting weekend. Actually, it really started on Friday. Just some interesting stories started to
Percolate.
develop.
Yeah.
Percolate. You know, everything from Jen Psaki's replacement having a hard time when she was, doing a press conference and, I can't remember her name. I think it's
her name is Karine
No.
Jean-Pierre?
That her. But then there was another fill-in replacement that was there during the week.
Oh, I missed that.
And she had the eyes of Satan.
Oh, gee. Not the best press secretary look.
No, she answered the questions kind of like Psaki, just like she was really...
Was her name Debbie Demon?
No, Battingfield was the last name. But anyway, yeah. Oh, yeah, if you look at it, because they had to stand in, I said, okay, she's standing by. Mm-hmm. Now, she can answer the questions, but she's very curt. And now she says her answers, and then she gives you that look. And she doesn't blink. It was scary. I mean...
Well, I missed that, but I'm sure we'll see her somewhere along the line again.
Yes.
The biggest story over the weekend, of course, is what happened in Buffalo. In case people missed it, and I don't know how you would do that because you would have had to been under a rock or sleeping all weekend. A 18-year-old wearing military gear and live streaming with a helmet camera opened fire on Saturday afternoon at Tops Friendly Market. That's a supermarket in the predominantly black neighborhood in Buffalo, New York. Now, the story was written, and I'll read it how it was written. It said, a white 18-year-old, okay? Mm-hmm. And then they talk about it being a predominantly black neighborhood, which is an important aspect of the story, I'm sure. But it just seems to me that we're being separated as a group all the time by the media nowadays, don't you think?
Yeah, and before this podcast started, I had a big spiel on it. Before this event ever happened, I've been noticing that with the surnames and everything that's going on. It's almost like they're dividing us in tribes, putting us under umbrellas, just so they can set us up and then really crush us because you're under a race umbrella that's all gathered together or under a sexual umbrella, don't worry. You're going to be divided. Right now, you are beneficial to a cabal. I don't know any other word to say it, but all throughout life, there's always been a group of people, small group, and maybe they control the money, but they sat there and said, I could work for a living, or I could profit from you. You work for me. This is all mine. And somehow they have convinced us all through history that we need to listen to them. Mm-hmm. And we need to give them what they want.
Right.
The money people of the world. And I mean, we've talked about this before.
It has never been more obvious than it is right now. Then that's exactly what they want to do. They want to keep us divided. If you think about what Donald Trump was trying to promote, it was make America great again. He talked about all of us. He talked about every American being equal. He talked about the masses not fighting with each other, but working with each other.
And for that, Nancy Pelosi said he was a creature.
Yes.
No, he is the swamp creature crusher taking on the swamp, and they are mad.
A lot of people in the grassroots are despondent over this draft ruling. And one reason why they're upset is because conservatives have played the long game here. You know this. They have said over and over for decades that this was their goal, to overturn Roe v. Wade, and that Democratic leaders should have seen this coming. I'm sure you've heard this too.
No, I mean, the point is who would have ever suspected that a creature like Donald Trump would become president of the United States, waiving a list of judges that he would appoint, therefore getting the support of the far right, and appointing those anti-freedom justices to the court. So this is not about long game. We played a long game. We won Roe v. Wade a long time ago. We voted to protect it over time. We have elected a Democratic House of Representatives that is pro-choice. Again, you have 60 vote thing in the Senate, and some lack of clarity on part of some of the Republicans who say they're pro-choice and then vote against a woman's right to choose. But it isn't. Let's not take our eye off the ball. The ball is this court, which is dangerous to the freedoms of our country. Beware in terms of marriage equality. Beware in terms of other aspects of it. And so it is, let's not waste our time on that. The fact is, this is a dangerous court to families, to freedom in our country. And that is why people have to mobilize. And my saying is, we don't agonize, we organize. We go out there and make sure people know that if actually elections have consequences.
So what impact will this have on the midterm?
What's his name did?
Kind of amazing, huh? She calls him a creature, and then she talks so easily about how we should all get together and fight, organize as a group and protest as a group, which is what they're doing, of course, in front of the Supreme Court justices' houses and
Exactly.
and things like that. But Bill, getting back to Buffalo and what happened up there, this 18-year-old kid drove 200 miles to get from where he lives, and let me see where they have it written down here. It's a border town on the Pennsylvania-New York line, and I can't find it, of course. But he traveled 200 miles. He said that New York City was too far, but Buffalo, that would work. But it just seems strange that he drove all that distance to Buffalo and then found this one supermarket and attacked this one supermarket.
It does. And if you took notes, which I didn't do, but I have made connections to all of these tragedies. And what happened was a tragedy. Any life lost is a tragedy. But, it had a racial, nasty tone to it. And he had a manifesto that nobody sees, but they're talking about.
Yeah. Bill, I went looking for it. I listened to a talk show this morning, and the guy said it was 184 pages. First of all, he said this 18-year-old kid, how many 18-year-old kids write a 184-page manifesto? But he couldn't find it. And one caller to this guy's show I was listening to this morning said they're talking about it on CNN, like they have it, and MSNBC, but he went to the Fox website, the Newsmax website, the OAN website, couldn't find anything about it.
No, what they have are talking points that were given to them. And I have questions, I have thoughts. So I guess the best thing I can do is just launch into it, because I do see a pattern that's going on. Don't you find it odd that a person, that's full of hate, is going to go out there and openly do this, that will sit there and challenge gun rights and stir up racism? We'll do something like that, and then they're all doing it at just the right time when there happens to be an agenda and it matches their agenda. Now, I started wondering about that because there's a lot of different things going on, not just with guns, but everything. And back in the 60s, they did things with linguistics and mind control. One of the things that's always been big is the use of sound. As a matter of fact, you can go back to right where you live in 2009 at the G20 summit. There's a company that's called American Technology Corporation. It's out of Baltimore. And they made this ultrasonic weapon. And actually, it was
I heard about it. Yeah.
The police determined. Now, it was called the LRAD. And I think it's still around.
And it was a big unit. It was like on the back of a truck.
It looked like it came out of a futuristic, sci-fi movie. That thing rolled out into the streets, and then it had 173 dB of this high-pitched sound.
Drove everybody nuts.
They dropped to their knees instantly. If they couldn't get away, they were crawling with their life, or they were running, shaking their heads.
Yep.
And then that went to use in Columbus and Canada, and all over the world. But now they make other weapons. Now they make another one like that. That's a heat type gun, and it goes and targets an individual or a place. And what that one does, like a microwave, it cooks you. All of a sudden, they turn it on. You get hot, really hot. You're cooking inside. You got to get out of the wave. Now, they call this a non-evasive deterrent. Fast forward to other research that was done. And, you know, they developed a gun. Now, here, I'll tell you the research. It's just, I got a quick paragraph. A new study suggests that low-frequency ultrasound can be used to target very specific brain regions and alter a person's decision-making process. The technique demonstrated they did it with monkeys at first. Now, this stuff goes back to 2002, 2016, prompts actual behavioral changes using non-invasive ultrasound. Now, back in 2002, they had this ultrasound weapon that had an AI feature in it. It had language, 2,000 words. So they can target that point of the brain and plant cohesive thought into your brain. Now, from what I understand from all of this, it's called the A39. It's a rifle. So that you can take it out into the field. Now, this is stuff that's old, but think about the Ukraine and the stories. The Russian soldiers that are well-trained, they're just dropping their guns.
And walking away.
All right. You can aim it at a person or a group of people. All right. And you can sit there. And by the way, you can talk and program the command. You can insert command in the field to tell these guys what you want them to do. And you could tell a guy to shoot himself in the head, and he would. So imagine with that kind of thing, if it does exist, and American Technology Corporation apparently makes stuff like that, and they do all kinds of stuff. And they have a military contract, and Raytheon's in there too with the stuff. Imagine what you could do to control people and thought. You could.
Well, everybody asks, Bill, everybody asks, what would make an 18-year-old kid do this? By the way, this 18-year-old kid was on the FBI's radar. They had already been made aware of this kid, so they knew about him. How many times have we heard about this, where the FBI was already looking into the Tsarnaev brothers in Boston with the?
They're that damn good. Yeah, that damn good. And you know, with the Russian collusion story over Trump, they were so good. They were on that one. Oh wait, they wrote that one.
Yeah, right. That's true. You know,
so you're right. But you write the solution, and then you commit the crime. Okay, I get it.
So here's this kid, 18 years old. He's on the FBI's radar, but they don't do anything. That shooting down in Florida. Remember that kid who went into the school in was it Broward County, one of those counties down there? And
it was Broward.
He shot those kids, and he was on the FBI radar, but they didn't do anything. They just let it happen. All right, so now you have this shooting here. Think about this. This kid goes in, he's wearing military gear, and he's live streaming. Live streaming, not a big deal. Anybody can buy a GoPro. I mean, that's not a big... But the weaponry that he was carrying probably was expensive. And if he was carrying, and I don't know which weapon he had, but let's say he had an AR-15, those cost, what, $600-700 nowadays? Maybe $800 for a decent AR-15?
Oh, that would be a cheap one.
Really?
If you go to the gun store. I was just at the gun store. I bought an old classic, 18-something pistol, and I put it on layaway. I said, I can buy it now, but I'll put it on layaway.
Right.
So that's what I did. And I was there, and I look at all the guns, and they're toys to me. They go out and go bang, bang, bang in the woods when no one's around.
Right.
That's all it is. And show off. Look what I got.
How does an 18-year-old kid go buy all this?
Well, he can't in the gun shop. And, you're talking $1,500 for a decent one minimum. And by the time you get everything and then ammo, well, good luck in that unless you do reloads. But now reloads are a tough thing, too. That's a tough one.
And what is the armor-piercing vest and things? I mean, the armor plating stuff, that has to be really expensive and hard to find.
Yeah, it is expensive. You can go online and find it, but it's not cheap. But, I'm glad you're asking all these questions because I'm sure other people are too. And if we wait a day or two, the media will come out with a press release on how all this came down as if they knew it all along because they are waiting for this. But anybody that talks is a racist.
If Bill
you
Knight
talk about this story, you're a racist.
If Bill Knight went out and went into a store or went online and ordered body armor, I think almost immediately you would be red flagged just for the mere fact that you were buying body armor. You're not a policeman. You don't wear body armor to go hunting. So you're wearing body armor. You would think that just buying it would red flag you and cause you to come up on somebody's radar.
There's a special license or clearance that you go through to buy stuff like that. Like if you go to a gun shop and you want to buy a silencer, you can't buy a silencer. I mean, even if you have the clearances and, one of those concealed carries ain't going to get you squat. You got to have some clearances and you got to fill out the forms and they do a background check on you and your family and whatnot. Any flags come up, somebody stole a candy bar and has got an arrest record, it's probably going to flag you. They're not going to give it to you.
So how does an 18-year-old kid get all this stuff and not get stopped before he does what he did?
Can't answer the question because I don't know how he got it.
Okay, now that was Buffalo, and that was on Saturday afternoon at a Tops Friendly Market. Then, of course, yesterday, and it always seems to happen in bunches. A gunman walked into a church in Southern California. He critically wounded 4 people and killed another. And they tried to make it look like it was another racially motivated action, but actually, deputies were. It says here the shooting took place during a meeting by the Irvine Taiwanese Presbyterian Church that shares space with the Geneva Church, and they said the suspect is reported to be a 68-year-old Asian man. So that kind of defeats the purpose of saying it was racially motivated if it was a Taiwanese church and it was an Asian person who attacked him. And you're not hearing much about that church, by the way. Have you noticed that they're not talking a lot about the church, the Geneva Church?
But it is a divisive action that happened. It's just like the manifesto, white genocide. Well, I haven't heard people talk about that. I do know that I can see where somebody gets that idea, but that thought is planted out there. It was probably planted in the kid's mind somehow and now planted to you. But me talking about it and giving a possibility of, well, maybe something else is going on here, that makes me a racist.
But I think there's a good possibility that something else is going on that we don't know about. Something nefarious is happening. But then again, this Darrell Brooks. Everybody remembers Darrell Brooks, right?
Right.
No, not everybody does remember Darrell Brooks because Darrell Brooks was the guy who drove his van through the parade in Wisconsin, and it faded away like it was a bad movie. I mean, people stopped talking about it almost instantly. President Biden is going to Buffalo tomorrow so he can bring the community together and heal the wounds. I guarantee you that when he goes there tomorrow, he's going to talk about white racism. He's going to talk about divisiveness. He's going to make it even worse. He's going to agitate and not heal the community.
Didn't he do something like that before he fanned the flames? And let's just say that there's something awry with the story about the kid going and, massacring black people.
Mm-hmm.
Let's say that there was something amiss about that. Maybe he was manipulated. And now somebody goes and fans those flames. We got to change it. Mm-hmm. And that gives Antifa the marching orders to start their civil protest all through the summer. And
yes. You know there's going to be a lot of turmoil in Buffalo and probably places like Pittsburgh and Detroit. Nancy Pelosi saying what she said on TV at CNN yesterday, talking about calling the former president a creep, saying that almost saying that the justices that were on the court today, because they didn't agree with her, are not valid justices. She made it sound like they were interlopers, that they didn't belong in the Supreme Court. By the way, one thing, Bill.
Yeah.
I'm Catholic. If I hear her say one more time, I'm Catholic. If I see a picture of her go to Rome with her little handkerchief on her head and her hands folded like she's going and getting her first communion and shaking hands with the Pope, I'm going to be really ticked off. I'm ticked off now because she is anything but. She represents none of what that faith is supposed to stand for.
No, she doesn't. And neither does Joe. And, I'm a man of faith. I'll profess I'm a Christian. All right. Mm-hmm. But the simple fact is, and I don't like to sit there and cast out in anybody's faith, but I am questioning theirs. That's the nicest way that I can
I agree.
say it.
I agree. The Pope that they have now is a divisive Pope, too. He was not put in there the normal way. The Pope that he replaced didn't die. The Pope that he replaced was removed.
Yep.
And that's like the first time. I think it happened maybe one other time, like 700 years ago. And that time it probably happened because there were guards at the gate with long swords.
There is nothing wrong with people of faith in having and believing in God. Now, is the church free of manipulating and doing things and being divisive? No, because it is run by man. And when you have man running stuff, things can go wrong because there's the power and there's money. Anytime money gets involved in anything, things go to hell quickly. They talk about the cabal and the government that you don't see, not the government we do see, but the government you don't see. They talk about its tentacles reaching into governments around the world and institutions around the world, including religions, including things like the Catholic faith. Now, my dad used to say, you don't fix something by leaving it, meaning you don't make it better by walking away. You make it better by staying and trying to be a better person. When you look at the Catholic Church, you hope that because it has stood for 2,000 years, that it will recover too, that it will get through this bump in the road. There have been many, many, many bumps in the road in the Catholic faith, but the people kind of hang in there. And the other thing is this: in any religion, the religion isn't the minister, the religion isn't the priest. The religion isn't the Pope. They're not bishops. The religion truly is between you and God. It's your relationship with you and God. And when you think of it that way, we're all the same. We're all the same. You, Bill, are a different faith, but you think very much like I do as far as religion goes. And you know what? They're good Democrats, but you are being run by bad people, bad players. But I'm not saying the Republican Party is free. They're starting to go over, and Nancy kind of in her speech was, doing a lament about that creature Trump and you that supports him.
Right.
And trying to do a rally cry to get all the swamp creatures to come together and get rid of us.
Do you think Joe will mention tomorrow that this is because of MAGA? Do you think he'll use the word MAGA in Buffalo?
Yeah, he will. But you know what? There's MAGA. There is now, they called him the Mega King.
Called him.
And guess what? There are videos all over because that fired up people. Well, he might have backfired.
Let's hear Joe say it.
I don't want to hear Republicans talk about deficits and their ultra MAGA agenda. I want to hear about fairness. I want to hear about decency. I want to hear about helping ordinary people.
The ultra MAGA agenda. And he called Donald Trump the Mega King.
But the interesting thing is that they can't do what they want to do. And what basically Pelosi admitted, things were going along in their little democracy, and they were doing all these things which were divisive and have run up the debt and gas prices, and they don't give a flying flip. And Trump came in there and said, no. We're going to change all of this. And it's not about, being this swamp creature. And they hate it.
Maria Bartiromo does a program on Sunday called Sunday Morning Futures on Fox. And I think she's terrific. And she's one of us. It's not something that she hides. And she said this as the show opened. Listen.
An animated Joe Biden tries to turn Make America Great Again, or MAGA, into a dirty word.
Let me tell you about this ultra MAGA agenda. It's the ultra MAGA agenda. Under my predecessor, the great MAGA king,
The president has obviously had a good time doing. People have asked, where did he come up with ultra MAGA? Where did he come up with, what did he call it, President Trump? Big MAGA? I don't know, something. The king of MAGA?
remember those long lines you'd see in a television? People lining up in all kinds of vehicles just to get a box of food in their trunk. How quickly we forget. People were hurting. And what did the MAGA crowd want to do? Forget it. Forget it.
Oh, God, Congressman Jim Jordan.
You got to love her response at the end. Oh, God, after that montage of different audio clips. But
you know what, though? He's selling lies.
Of course he is.
But what he's doing is they take a lie, they sell it, you tell it enough, and it becomes the truth. And if you watch these people that do it, there's two things going on. They have a tone of voice where, remember the lines under Trump when people were getting boxes of food. Now, that's not true. He repeats it 3 times.
Yeah.
And he looks straight into the camera and he does not blink.
Well, you know what Goebbels said, the propaganda minister of Adolf Hitler in the Nazi Party.
Right.
You say a lie long enough and hard enough, and it becomes the truth. And
Yes, it does.
That's their philosophy. If you keep saying it over and over, that's why they're making MAGA. They're trying to make MAGA a swear word. And it's not really catching on. I think they're a day late and a dollar short.
Yeah, but they are doing the hypnotic thing, the hypnosis trick of staring you down in the eye.
Oh, yeah.
looking you straight in the eye and going, Trump is bad. Trump is bad.
MAGA.
Trump is bad.
The MAGA king.
MAGA bad. Yeah.
MAGA king.
Yeah, it's a hypnotic thing, and they want to plant that seed in that region of your mind that's going to take it and run with it, and then they think they've got it because they're worried about the fall. And I think that they've got some more divisive bags of tricks, and I think that the worst is yet to come, my friends.
Tomorrow in many states is the primary elections. People like in Pennsylvania, they have Mehmet Oz running against David McCormick and a lady named, what's her name, Barrett?
Didn't she drop out?
No, I think the one, Melissa Hart dropped out.
Yeah, she dropped out.
And so you have, it'll be interesting. It'll be interesting to see whether there's any hanky-panky in the elections. Even though it's the primary, they may be testing stuff out for the fall, for November. So you should keep an eye out for that. That's tomorrow. And other things in the news, McConnell led a delegation over to the Ukraine over the weekend. And I had one question when I saw McConnell and Susan Collins and some other rhinos walking around, shaking hands with Zelensky and his wife. I was thinking, when was the last time you saw McConnell and his cronies on the southern border? When was the last time you saw, Biden's going to Buffalo, and he does it at the drop of a hat. But when was the last time Biden went to the southern border? When was the last time our border czar, Carmela, been to the southern border? You remember that audio of her being questioned, when was the last time you were there? And she said, well, I'd never been to Europe either. But that you would think that would have stimulated her to go to the border. I don't think she's been there yet, and she's the border czar.
No, she's not going. And everything that you see in the news right now, the shooting that's going on, Biden going there, everything that you hear is all a distraction from, well, several stories that are going on. One being the baby food formula shortage, and then everybody outraged that, we sent it all down to the border. And there's none here. But, magically, Bill Gates, a few years back, had the foresight to invest heavily in a company called BioMilk, along with another Danish company. And they said 2 years ago that they're going to launch this cell-cultured breast milk. It's bioengineered, it's genetic, and disrupt the multi-billion-dollar infant milk formula industry within the next 4 years. They said that 2 years ago.
Well, what do you know?
It didn't happen. It did happen. And we took the formula off the shelves because it got recalled. There's stories that are mixed.
You were in the supermarket this weekend, you were saying, and people said, well, I don't see the shelves empty. What did you say about the shelves not being empty, which I thought was interesting?
Well, having had to do retail, an empty shelf does not sell. You walk into a store and you see empty shelves. Yeah, even with the pandemic, no, I get it. It's hard to fill up things. That's a manager that's lazy because you crush everything together. You push it together.
Right.
And make it look nice and full.
Spread it out if it's,
Because you can't sell anything if it's not on that shelf. That empty space is useless at that point in time. So that's what they're doing. It's not there. Don't be surprised, just like the booster shots that they want us to get more of. Bill Gates doesn't come to the rescue with his BioMilk company and get a government infusion of money, kind of like the shots.
Like this.
So you had two vaccinations and then 2 booster shots. Is that right?
That's right. And for people over 50 or 60, they'll probably have to be boosted every 6 months until we get even better vaccines.
So I've been trying to figure this out for myself. I assume you know the answer to this, so I'll just ask you. When do you get boosted again? I mean, now that you've had it, I've had it around the same time. I've only gotten 3 shots total, only been boosted once. I guess we have immunity for a little while, but when do you decide to get boosted again?
So an infection where you'll get a high viral load would be like vaccination. But, to be safe, every 6 months, you're probably going to be vaccinated. As we get more data, they might even make that shorter for people who are, say 60 or over 70, where the duration seems to be a bit lower. So we're in for ongoing vaccination to stay absolutely safe.
They make it sound like this guy is a virologist or a biologist. This guy didn't even graduate from college. He's been making faulty computer operating systems and selling them for lots of money. I mean, think about it this way, friends. If you bought a car that he made, you'd have to upgrade it every 6 months.
And that's what he's doing. But you know what? Who's getting the money for all of this?
Bill Gates.
Yeah, and he's going to save our babies too, and probably have to do some kind of update for that. Well, with the bio milk, the baby's going to need a shot every 6 months.
And the guy, they're talking about the older people. Like, I'm thinking that maybe like every month, if you could do it like once a week, or maybe every other week, get a new shot.
Could you just give me a little thing to walk along with and just give it to me intravenously?
Yeah, or
as I walk.
Yeah, what's like the it's like the diabetic monitor that you can self-monitor. Well, maybe you can self-dose yourself with the vaccine. Yeah. That would be good.
That's a
look,
great
we've been talking ad infinitum, but I got to leave you with this because you have to leave with a smile. This is our vice president. This is our vice president, our articulate vice president, speaking in front of the masses just, I guess, a couple of days ago. Try to figure out what she's saying.
That is especially true when it comes to the climate crisis, which is why we will work together and continue to work together to address these issues, to tackle these challenges, and to work together as we continue to work operating from the new norms, rules, and agreements that we will convene to work together on to galvanize global action. With that, I thank you all. This is a matter of urgent priority for all of us, and I know we will work on this together.
I think what she was trying to say, and I could be wrong here, but I think she was trying to say that we will be working together. I mean, what were your thoughts, Bill?
I'm still trying to put the Scrabble puzzle together here and try to make sense of it. This is a
Someone made her vice president. Someone said, I think we should get Carmela because she's so articulate, so well-spoken, and she has such gravitas that we should make her the vice president, just in case, Joe's older. And if Joe is removed, you want to have someone who's solid in the presidency.
Yeah, so America voted in volumes for Kamala and Biden.
Of course it did, yes.
And look what he's done, too. The gas prices here.
It was the most fair.
$5 a gallon.
It was the most fair and just election in history. Hanky-panky.
Never rubbish, not in America. The symbol of freedom. Yeah, they want to tear this symbol down for one world order globalization, and that's what we're going for.
We've talked longer than we've ever talked today, but we have a lot more to talk about. We could talk actually for another 20 minutes probably, but it's not fair.
Hours, actually.
It's not fair to our listeners. I ask you, come back again tomorrow. We'll continue with more of this. It's another day. Tell your friends. If you want to call us and leave a message and make a suggestion or make a comment, you can call us at 833-583-6060, 833-583-6060.
Mail at itsanotherday.com. Mail at itsanotherday.com. We're available on all the major platforms. Just look for It's Another Day. If you listen and you like, please like and share. That's how we grow. We will grow no other way. Now, we are growing. I'm not saying we're not. But
I've been growing for years, actually. I mean, I've been trying to diet, but I'm getting this paunch, really. But then again, nowadays I can say, like, I'm really pregnant.
I didn't even want to hear that. Wait a minute. Now, wait a minute. No, you know what?
Yes, what?
That makes you...
I'm fluid. I'm fluid.
You're fluid because today
yes.
you feel bloated like...
yes.
And then tomorrow you're going to feel like a...
manly man.
Earl, Mr. Manly.
Yes.
And,
I'm a lumberjack and I'm okay.
Something like that. Anyway,
hey, buddy.
I'm feeling gassy, but I want to get out of here before...
Have a good one, pal. Talk to you tomorrow.
Could you open that window?
Oh, you better.